Welcome to today's intention. Today we're going to talk about a big topic of the tennis, that is the technique, the intention, the energy, and the movement. In this video, I'm going to explain how can a movement goes. How can you make a fully shot? What is the explanation of that? It's simple. That the movement, you never can break it. The movement, you never can wants to get something. You never can anticipate how the movement is going to be. So anticipation and fragmentation are the opposite of the movement. How it goes. When we learn tennis, all the coaches focus on the technique, right? They say, put the hand here, put like this, like this, like this. So every time that they give you one approach, they are trying to divide the action in pieces. What happened? That when someone divides the action in pieces, the movement is done, it's over. You cannot move. You cannot do the movement. Why? Because the movement is something that you need to flow on that. Not get together, not pieces together. Because when you try to put pieces together, now you have to get analysis to do that. And the analysis is the opposite of the game. If you want to play, you need to release, give, and this is the movement. But when you learn basic, just put it in the first thing, the technique, you are breaking the action. And you are losing the movement. Because the movement you cannot divide. The movement you cannot anticipate. The movement is the movement. That's it. Albert Einstein says that if you have point A to point B, and you have the distance, you have the data of that, you can also get the result of one point A to point C, a different point, because now you have the values of those points. So you can get the result for another distance. Yes, the problem is that this action was made by a person. And the person has emotion, intention, motivation that goes into the action. If the ball has, if you make the equation of point A to point C, that is 22, for example, but this shot was made by a human, this 22 could be 24, 25, 23, 20. Why? Because the energy that the player puts on it changes a lot. Depends on the motivation, not of the physical things, skills, I mean. Because if the motivation is to protect the result, naturally this action is going to be less. So the equation is not good now. So everything depends on the player. It means that we have to give the player the right information. That is not the technique. The technique helps you, but he knows how can he play. How can he play? Was not protecting the result, because the action is going to be fully and the motion is going to be fully. That's why we win. But if they put like at the first value the technique, they are divide the movement and the flow disappear. That's why when we arrive to a match, we don't know how to deal with that, because we just know to divide the action And now we have to play with flow. How can I do that? But if you focus on the intention, now it's possible to make that flow, because there is not the fragmentation of the movement. That doesn't exist. It's just one intention. That's it. So the movement you cannot divide, and also the movement you can anticipate. You want to anticipate because you are protecting the result. But when you are protecting the result, the action is not going to be fully, for sure. And the movement also. Bruce Lee says, you have to live like a water. Like a water, flowing, not thinking. That's why thinking is not playing. And everyone says that. I'm thinking too much. Yes, because you are trying to analyze a shot. You cannot analyze a shot. You have to live the shot. But to that, you have to live the protection of the result. Live the anticipation of the shot, of the movement. So now for finish, it's important to understand that the movement, you cannot divide it and you cannot anticipate it. If you understand that, if your ranking today is 100 of the state, it's going to be 10 in a month, because you are changing everything. And that is going to make the difference. And if you explain to another player what should do, now what is your way to play, and you explain to them that the movement cannot divide it or anticipate it, they don't understand. But the most important is that you understand. So the movement is a flow. And you get that by the intention, not by the technique. The technique just divide the shot in pieces. You have to analyze and you cannot play. So I hope you like this video, and we'll see you soon.